Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item, whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
John Cena was spilling life lessons on this stream, bro. So the best thing I watched all week, John Cena on the Continent stream. By the way, he stole your hairdo. You got to make a phone call.
I was about to say, you showed me a little bit of this clip because I saw the messy room, and the only thing I could see is John Cena's hair. I mean, come on, bro.
He stole your bar.
It's literally identical.
He stole your flow, bar for bar, word for word.
How is mine more gray than his, though?
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel.
Live from the Built Ford Tough studio at FedEx Forum, it's the Gary Parrish Show, presented by Ortho South, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Now, here's your host, Gary Parrish.
All right. I'm here. My name is Gary Parrish. I'm speaking to you from the Built Ford Tough Studio, FedEx Forum, downtown Memphis. Bennett Doyle right there producing the program. Glad he's with me. Glad you're with me. Hope you're getting through the day best you can. And I hope you didn't start counting your wins before they hatched last night. I hope you're not a win counter before they hatch, because despite leading the hapless Bulls by 20 at home, the Grizz were outscored by 17 points in the second half, including by 10 points in the fourth, and lost 126-123 inside FedEx Forum. Yuck, yuck, yuck. We'll talk about it momentarily. First, though, quickly, let me set today's schedule for you. When I finish this open, we're going to take a break. We'll come back, do 5 more things you need to know, at which point we're going to discuss 5 previously undiscussed stories. Among them, Memphis and Alabama played an exhibition last night in men's basketball. The Tigers did not win. 0-2 in their exhibitions. We'll discuss that in about 20 minutes. The Dodgers beat the Yankees 4-2 last night, take a 3-0 lead in the World Series. History says that'll probably do it. We'll get Game 4 tonight. We'll talk baseball in just a bit. Giselle, the internationally known supermodel, is pregnant with baby number 3, the jiu-jitsu instructor.
Oh, I remember him.
I knew it was going to be the jiu-jitsu instructor. He's the father. Too bad we didn't have this available to us before the Tom Brady roast. We could have taken it to another level. I'll give you the details on Giselle's baby-to-be. We'll do that. We'll do it in the next segment. Connecticut Sun have fired their coach, Stephanie White, after 2 seasons. 7 coaches in the WNBA have been fired so far this offseason. There's only 12 teams.
That's right. There's only 12.
There's 12 franchises. 7 coaches have been fired. 58% of the league has been fired in recent weeks. That seems wild. I'll run you through the list. We'll do that in the second hour. And Memphis alum Calvin Austin was the star of Monday Night Football. He scored twice in a Steelers victory. We'll celebrate that young man. We'll do it during a segment we call 5 More Things You Need to Know. Then we'll eventually do GP's Carryout and we'll call it a day. So that's the rundown. We got a lot to get to, but I did want to start with your Memphis Grizzlies because Game 4 of a scheduled 82 was played last night inside FedEx Forum. It went well for a while, and then it didn't, in part because Ja Morant was sidelined with that thigh injury. Final score, Bulls 126, Grizzlies 123. Grizzlies led by 10 after the first quarter, by 14 at the half, by as many as 20 in the game, but then still lost after being outscored by 17 points in the final 24 minutes. The Bulls made 25 three-pointers. Taylor Jenkins expressed disappointment in the defense afterwards. Big Bennett, you were in the building last night. Why do the Grizz lose every third quarter? You got a theory?
I don't have a theory, but they sure do lose them. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it goes back to last season. Now, last season obviously was like a disaster, so whatever. But yeah, it's a thing with this team. Third quarters, it's definitely a thing.
It's definitely a thing. Through 4 games at least. Outscored by Utah in the season opener in the third, 36-32. Then Game 2, outscored by Houston in the third, 39-18. Then Game 3, outscored by Orlando in the third, 35-21. Game 4, outscored by the Bulls in the third, 39-32. So, through 4 games this season, the Grizz have been outscored 149-103 in the third quarter by 46 points in 48 minutes. I don't know. I wasn't trying to set you up, but I don't know that there's a great answer for why they are getting blown out in the third quarter. But undeniably, they are getting blown out in the third quarter, and that is at least one way you can flip probable wins into definite losses, and that is, what they did last night. You got any problem with Jaren Jackson Jr. only playing 24 minutes? Because he only played 24 minutes, and he was on the bench when the lead evaporated in the fourth. He didn't seem to like only playing 24 minutes. I'll tell you his quote in a minute. What did you think of that?
I didn't have a problem as much with like the minutes restriction as I did when those minutes were being distributed. I heard multiple people say this, and I agree. I was sitting next to Vernon last night, and we were both looking at each other like, dude, you got to get Jaren or Marcus back in the game like now. They can't stop anybody. Right. I mean, when the Bulls went on that 3-point barrage and took the lead in the fourth quarter, it's just with neither of those guys on the court, they could not get a stop. And so they needed to get at least one of them back out there, and they didn't until maybe a little over the 3-minute mark. And by then it was just kind of too late. So I think that until you get Vince back, I think that you're looking at a situation where one of those guys needs to be needs to be on the floor almost at all times, in my opinion, because you just defensively are not great with both of them off the court.
Well, I mean, if you watched Taylor's postgame last night, he seemed angry about the defense, both in terms of execution, but also effort. Because a lot of those threes, 25 made threes, is a big number. They were wide open. I mean, it was just can't stay in front of anybody. Defense collapses. Pass, wide open three. Boom, now let's go the other way. It was just one open three after another. That's a frustrating thing to watch as a fan. I'm sure it's a frustrating thing to watch as a coach. And then afterwards, Jaren was asked about only playing, I think officially it was 23 minutes. He was 4 of 10 from the field, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal. He was plus 26 in only 23 minutes. But only 23 minutes. And after the game, he was asked about it, and he said, I really just want to skip that part, but I can't. Meaning he would like to skip the whole, we got to ramp you up and build you up to get you to where you're playing the way we would prefer you to play throughout the regular season. He's simply not there yet, according to the staff. And he seemed to express frustration with that in the locker room last night.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, I don't really have a problem with the ramp up. I mean, we're so early in the season. And by the way, before we keep going, we are very early in the season. All these definitive opinions about this team that people have, I'm not ready to go there just yet.
If you start having strong opinions about anything 4 games into a season, you're just going to end up looking silly.
Yeah, especially when this team is not at full strength and they have not, I know we're going to talk about, they have not had their main guys all playing together at full strength yet this season for the most part, I mean.
Ja and Jaren have played together once.
There you go.
Right.
So, again, like that last night's a bad loss. There's no way around it. Like when me and Roser took calls in the post game last night, I mean, we prefaced it by saying, yeah, this is a bad loss. Like they're going to look back on this one and be like, damn, that was an ugly one. We should not have lost that game. They were better than that team last night. They should have beat that team last night.
And you can say, if you want to, well, Ja didn't play. And that is the best explanation for why you lost a home game to the Bulls.
Still should have won that game.
You still should win the game. You're still favored without Ja Morant to win the game. You were up 20 without Ja Morant. You're still supposed to win the game. But if the question is, what is the biggest reason the Grizzlies lost last night at home to the Bulls, the answer is, well, Ja Morant didn't play. The problem with trying to not excuse things, but I guess excuse these types of losses throughout an 82-game schedule is that the context quite literally does not matter. Mm-hmm. It will not matter at the end of the season,
right?
The context of these wins and these losses. There is no selection committee.
Right.
In college basketball, if a selection committee was evaluating your record heading into Selection Sunday, they would absolutely go, okay, the Grizzlies lost a home game to the Bulls back in October. What was going on there? And they'd say, well, Vince Williams was out, GG was out, but most notably, Ja Morant was out, and Jaren Jackson was on a minutes restriction. Mm-hmm. So, and they would go, okay, well then, we need to make sure we consider that as we try to seed them in this bracket. It doesn't matter in the NBA. Mm-hmm. You can win 50 games with Ja Morant, lose 50 games without Ja Morant. None of it matters. At the end of this thing, they're just going to look at your record. They're going to add up your wins. They're going to add up your losses, and they're going to say, okay, now where does that slot in the Western Conference? And if it's the best record in the West, you'll be the 1 seed. If it's the second best record in the West, you'll be the 2 seed. If it's the 11th best record in the West, you won't get to play anymore. And I know it's easy in October to be like, well, that's just one that slipped away, or hey, that's one where Ja was hurt, because both of those things are true. But these things often come down to a game or two. Mm-hmm. In Major League Baseball, they play 162 games. The Mets and Braves had to play on the Monday after the Sunday to end the regular season to just figure out, who was going to be seated where in the National League playoffs. Last season, the difference between 6th and 7th in the West was 2 games. The difference between, it was 2 games. The difference, but the 10th and 9th and 10th place, it was an identical record. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that it's just 82 games and they don't all matter. They all matter exactly the same.
It's true.
They all count exactly the same. And you can explain any of them away, particularly when the franchise point guard is not playing. But at the end of the 82 games, none of that's going to matter. It won't even be a conversation. You will just be seated wherever your record suggests you are. And the truth is, through 4 games of a pretty manageable first 4-game schedule, they're just 2-2, and their best 2 players have only played together once.
Yeah, and again, going back to the Ja thing, I understand being extremely careful with him this early in the season. But you should have won that game without him, and you're going to have other situations this season where he doesn't play. He's a star player in this league. He's gonna get other nights off. That's just gonna happen throughout the season, and you got to be able to win games against inferior opponents without him, because you're supposed to be a really good basketball team this season.
If you can't beat inferior opponents consistently without Ja Morant, you will not finish in the standings where you want to finish, because you're going to play games without Ja Morant. You ready for this? Probably going to play another game this week without Ja Morant.
It seems like it's trending that way, because you got a back-to-back coming up, and I mean, just throughout his career, he's missed a lot of games, even without even without the big-time injuries. He's just missed games throughout his career, so that's gonna happen. You got to be able to win against bad teams without him.
And I'm like you. I listen. I'm not in the training room, so I'm not going to sit here and have strong opinions about how to handle Ja Morant's thigh or Jaren Jackson's hamstring. I'm not a trainer, and I'm not in the room, okay? So if the explanation is we're just being careful with Ja, it's a long season, and we're being careful with Jaren, long season, I completely understand that. I just also know that for fans, it's incredibly frustrating because here's what fans would tell you. Can't speak for all of them. I know some of them would tell you. I get being careful, but when does it ever pay off for us? It feels like we're the most careful and it never works. That's what fans would tell you.
Can't argue with that.
It feels like we're always the most careful and it still doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I would bet that if you asked that staff, they would show you a million things to suggest why that does benefit them quite a bit. Yeah, but I can't argue with that sentiment from the fan base. Right,
the people in charge of this know what they're doing. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying. I'm telling you. Look, I'm watching social media when the games are going on.
Yes,
and what fans are like. Okay, fine, let's be careful, but like. You buckle your seatbelt so that when you have a wreck, you don't die. It feels like we're riding around with buckle seatbelts all the time, constantly dying. It's like, what is the point of wearing the seatbelt if we're going to die anyway? That's the sentiment some fans have as it pertains to injuries and the way the Grizzlies handle minor injuries. We're always careful, and then they end up in street clothes again.
Right.
So as always, we'll see. But if you were hoping they would get off to like the hottest start in the world, it's 2-2, and their best two players have only played together once so far. Up next, a couple of home games. Tomorrow night, the Nets are in town. And then on Halloween, the Bucks.
Who aren't playing well, by the way. They're not off to a good start. Yeah, I'll probably. I think the panic meter will go up a little bit more if they lose tomorrow night. That's a bad team.
They don't even want to win.
No, they do not want to win.
They trying to get Cooper Flag. They ain't coming in here trying to win. They ain't coming in here trying to win the Wednesday night game in October. They're trying to get Cooper Flag.
Absolutely, I'd be absolutely shocked if that is not one of the worst, if not the worst teams in the league this year. And so that's just one with or without Ja. You really got to get. And then the Bucks are struggling. They're off to. I think they're 1-3 to start the season. They're off to a bad start, so it feels like that one's pretty gettable as well. So, they got two opportunities to turn it around really quick, but last night was definitely concerning.
2 of your next 4 are against Brooklyn, so that's a good way to get back on track. Obviously, the biggest thing will be the health related to Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. One last bit of news headline before we move on. After a nice start to the season, the Grizzlies rewarded Jay Huff, signed him to a 4-year contract. He's no longer a two-way player. He's going to be on an actual 4-year NBA deal. I don't think the financials were reported or disclosed, but you can assume it's a small 4-year deal. And the front office has done a nice job.
For sure.
With the way the salary cap works now and aprons and all that stuff, you got to have impactful players on small annual deals.
Yeah.
And one of the ways you do it is you identify it as early as you can and then lock it up. It's a lot like what the Braves do in baseball.
That's true.
They notice, what Ozzie Albies is very early, and then they put real money in front of you and dare you to turn it down, and you can't, so you don't. And then they got you locked up for several years at a rate that is probably going to be below where your annual rate should be. But how do you turn that down when they put it right in front of you? Jay Huff has been bouncing around his professional career. The previous 3 years, he's been in 3 different NBA franchises. He's mostly been on, commercial flights, playing in empty gyms in the G League. He mentioned it at Media Day. I can't remember if he was talking to Jessica or somebody, but I think it might have been Jess. But he mentioned, I just would like some stability. I would love it to be here. The city's been great so far. And I never moved around like that. Have you ever moved around?
No.
I've never really moved around. I did a 3-month internship when I was in college in Birmingham, Alabama, and that is the longest I've ever been away from this area in my life. Obviously, travel a lot for work, spend a lot of nights in hotels, but I haven't had to change, homes too often, or at least, areas too often. Really never. So I don't know what it's like to just be bouncing around constantly. I'm certain it's easier when you're younger as opposed to older with kids and all of that. But I bet you it's not fun, and I bet you do really just yearn for some stability, just somewhere you can this is mine, and I'm going to be here for a minute. And so when a NBA franchise that brought you here and has given you an opportunity and seemingly believes in you puts that contract in front of you, I bet you can't wait to sign it. So it's great for Jay because it gives him stability. Mm-hmm. He can now, I'm not telling him how to spend his money, but if he wants to buy a home and make it his and this is mine, and hey, parents, come on down and spend some, this is where I live, this is where I'm going to be. That's an incredible feeling when you haven't had that. He hasn't had any stability in his life since he left Virginia. He's just been bouncing around playing basketball. Now he has some stability. It's awesome for him. And then it's awesome for the Grizzlies because he looks like a useful NBA player, big off the bench, who can stretch it the way you want modern fives to stretch it on the offensive end, and who can, rim protect and be a plus defender on that end of the court. And now you have him locked up on a very small contract, and you've done the same thing with, Scottie Pippen Jr., with Vince Williams, with Gigi Jackson. Those four guys could be four real rotation players
pieces, yes,
for a Western Conference contender, and you've got them locked up. I saw somebody tweet last night for what a mid-level is.
Yeah.
And with the way NBA salaries work now, and this is really also trickling down to college basketball, I saw Rick Barnes talking about it the other day, how NIL works. And lots of different schools are doing it lots of different ways. But Rick said the way they're doing it at Tennessee is kind of the way the NBA does it. It's replicated, in other words, everybody at Tennessee is not making the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. And the gap between what the best players are making and what the other players are making is pretty wide. Rick said in the NBA, if you study rosters, most franchises, 3 guys are making most of the money. And then there's a big gap. You'll have guys making $50 million, and then half the roster is making less than 6 or something. You know? There's a big gap. And so at Tennessee, they're we're taking care of our best guys because you have to. If you don't, Ohio State, Kansas, Alabama, Arkansas are going to buy them. We got to take care of our best players. And then with the rest of the money we have, then we disperse it to the other people and use it as best we can. But our best guys are taken care of at an incredible rate, and then we got to fill out our roster with smaller salaries, for lack of a better word. So the same thing that all NBA franchises have to do, and some do it better than others. And the Grizzlies seem to be doing it really well.
For sure. Right
now. I saw my old colleague, my buddy Sam Vecini, tweet about it last night. The guys they put on 2 ways and then converted to NBA. It hadn't been 100%, but they've hit on.
They definitely have.
They've hit on them here. And that's the type of stuff. So often you get into the NBA playoffs and the narratives connected to teams are, man, they've got the stars, but there's no depth. They've got the stars, but they're surrounded by bums. They've got the stars, but they maxed out and they didn't have the money to go out and sign a backup this or an extra that. Well, the Grizzlies, they're locking that stuff up. The job, wherever this thing goes, use your best imagination. If it goes where we all want it to go, it will be because of Ja Morant. It will be because of Jaren Jackson. It will be because of Desmond Bane. It won't be because of any of this other stuff as much as it'll be because of those people. But the other stuff matters. Mm-hmm. And obviously you can't get there without the 3 stars. But what recent history in the NBA shows us is that you also need the other stuff. And the Grizzlies are locking the other stuff up. Jay Huff being the latest example. I'm happy for him. You happy for him?
I'm really happy for him. Especially, just kind of looking at that big rotation, Jaren's on a minutes restriction last night. It's going to take time with Zach Edey. It just appears that way right now. He didn't play much. He played for maybe a few minutes in the second half, but hardly at all in the second half.
He was only 14 minutes in the game. He was 3 of 7 from the field. He took 2 more 3-pointers, missed both of them.
Yeah. And then Brandon Clark, like, we'll see. I mean, he didn't look great last night. He's a guy that's expected to be an important role player on this team, but I think, we need to see a bigger sample size to see if he's going to be the same player post that Achilles injury. And so, yeah, you need big depth and you need good bigs that can stretch the floor, and he can do that.
Well, you also wonder, like, does the Jay Huff signing have any impact on Brandon Clark's future? That's
you're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah,
sure.
I don't know, but
right.
I can understand why. If you're saying other people are saying that, I can understand why other people are saying that. But with Jay, like last night, it wasn't like all the highlights, and he wasn't the player of the game, and it was a loss, so it feels different. But he was 18 minutes on the court, 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. 10 points, 2 rebounds. Here's the truth. In this moment, October 29, 2024, he's probably a better NBA player than Zach Edey. Like, in this moment.
Yes.
Right now. You hope that's not true,
of course,
3 months from now, 3 years from now. If it is, you've messed up. But in this moment, it's true.
Yes. And
so, like I said yesterday, real luxury to have a guy like that on your bench. Now they've locked him up with a long-term deal because obviously the Grizzlies were going to need to rely on an impactful 5 throughout this season to accomplish any of the stuff they want to accomplish. Mm-hmm. They did not prioritize that in free agency because they prioritized it in the draft. If Zach Edey's not ready to be what you need him to be in this moment, it's okay because of Jay Huff, because he can be that. He can be a competent 5 until your top 10 pick gets where you want him to be. And he's shown that through 4 games. He was rewarded for it after 3. When we come back, turn our attention to Tiger basketball. Tough night for Memphis basketball teams last night. Grizz lose at home. Tigers went down to Alabama, played a preseason top 5 team, and I guess the final score doesn't look bad, but the game wasn't really competitive. We'll talk Tiger basketball next. Gary Parrish Show presented by Ortho South.
3 big beats this week. One was root for points in honor of John Roser. How about that Miami-Louisville game?
Good
crushed
grief.
the over, which was 60. Finished with 97 total points, 52-45. Meanwhile, the Academy's covering again, both Army and Navy, getting the job done.
This.
Army, best start since 96.
America.
Navy crushed Charlotte. They're ranked 23rd and 24th in the country.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow lace is really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges, and you got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Justin Timberlake. I'm bringing sexy back. The Forget Tomorrow World Tour. Live in Memphis. Justin Timberlake. FedEx Forum, Saturday, November 23rd. Get tickets now at livenation.com. The brand new single Selfish is available to stream and download now. So if I get jealous, I can't help it. For more, hit up justintimberlake.com.
Orthopedic injuries can be unpredictable, unforeseen, and unscheduled, and Ortho South understands this better than anyone. Since your injuries don't make appointments, you don't need to either. That's because Ortho South welcomes walk-ins during the weekdays, in the evenings, and even on Saturdays. So next time an unforeseen injury makes an unscheduled appearance in your life, visit orthosouth.org to find your nearest urgent care location. Just walk in, and Ortho South will take care of everything, especially you. Learn more at orthosouth.org. That's orthosouth at orthosouth.org. Now I got 5 more things you need to know.
Number 1.
Memphis played Alabama in an exhibition last night down in the state of Alabama, Huntsville to be specific. And the Tigers lost 96-88. I know you were occupied at FedEx Forum. You told me you were going to put it on your phone,
I did. Yep.
Were you a man of your word? You put it on your phone?
I did. They got blasted in the first half, and then they made it a little more competitive in the second half. And honestly, it's kind of a similar feeling that I had after the North Carolina game. Like, obviously you want them to win, and you want something to hang on to heading into the season, but they didn't get run off the court against 2 of the best teams in the country in their exhibition games, and I think that's a positive.
That's 1 point.
Yep.
Counterpoint. They have played 2 of the best teams in the country. True. Both of those teams were wildly shorthanded. North Carolina was missing its best player.
Okay.
Alabama was missing, depending on what you think the starting lineup might be, perhaps 3 starters, and still were not really a threat to win either game.
They got to play in Huntsville.
It's a counterpoint.
They got to play in Huntsville. All right, they had home court advantage.
It's the counterpoint. The Tigers had home court advantage against North Carolina. If home court advantage means so much to you.
That was more of a neutral.
Well, then you should blame Tiger fans for that.
I think that was I think we call that a neutral.
Well, then you'd have to blame Tiger fans for that, because trivia time. Where does North Carolina play its home games?
Chapel Hill.
That's right.
North Carolina.
True, inside the Dean Smith Center.
I believe that's Durham, correct? They're in Durham.
Bennett, Jesus Christ.
Wait,
Bennett.
Who's in Durham?
Duke.
But they're like right down the street from each other.
Yes, but
isn't that the city?
There's Bennett.
Oh, God. I don't want to do this again.
Duke is in Durham.
Yes.
Durham is a city in North Carolina.
Yes.
By the way, that's where Jay Huff was raised.
Oh, how about that?
Chapel Hill, that's where North Carolina is. Also a city in North Carolina. These are 2 different cities
that border each other.
It's like Collierville and Germantown or something like that.
Because they're right down the street from each other,
it's like
right?
Hernando and South Haven.
Isn't that the whole thing about the rivalry? They're right there.
Imagine North Carolina were in Germantown and Duke was in Collierville.
Gotcha.
That's what we're dealing with here.
Actually, that's a good comp. Yeah.
They're separated by, I believe, whatever it is, it's wrong.
What do you mean?
There's a famous saying. We talked about this in the College Basketball podcast. I stumbled into this one time. Like every time Duke and North Carolina plays, they're like, and the campuses are separated by 8 miles or something like that. And I Google mapped it one time, and it was like 11 miles. It's just a little. It's not what they say.
Okay.
And so you ask them, why do you keep saying it's 8 miles? And I want to be clear, it might be 7. Whatever it is they say, it's wrong.
Okay.
And so I think you pose a reasonable question. You say, why do you keep saying Duke and North Carolina are only separated by X amount of miles when I just drove it and it's more than that? And what they say is it is separated by 8 miles by the crow's something. Meaning if you draw a direct line, like if a crow were flying from one to the other, it's only that amount of space. But you're not a crow. I'm not a crow. Don't talk to me like I'm a crow.
Right.
I have to take the roads.
To zig and zag.
I have to zig and zag.
Yeah.
I'm not a crow. Do I look like a crow?
No.
You look at me right now. Do I look like a crow?
No.
Do I resemble a crow in any way whatsoever?
You do not.
Then why are you trying to put this in crow's terms? That's my question. I think if you're talking to a crow, You say it's 8 miles. But if you're talking to a
Which
human,
I tried to do and it doesn't work.
You've tried to talk to crows before?
Well, because they're like
nonverbal. Crows are nonverbal.
Crows can have human connections.
Can they?
Yes. So crows.
I feel like you've been watching movies again.
No. If you become friendly, this is true. If you become friendly with crows, like a crow that comes in your backyard, that crow will bring you stuff. I'm dead serious. I am dead serious.
How many milligrams did you take?
Maybe a few when I was doing my research, but it's factual. Like there was this. There's this story of this. You could look it up. This little girl, and she like befriended some crows in her backyard, and the crows like started bringing her gifts every day, like a shoelace or a soda can or something. I'm dead serious.
You're
dude.
confusing crows with Santa Claus.
No, it's why what
the rest of us consider Santa Claus, you think's a crow.
It's why in like Game of Thrones and all that kind of stuff, like they use the crows as the messenger because they're like that's not real. That's fantasy.
I'm glad I didn't have to point that out to you.
No, but there's a reason that they do that in the story, and it's because crows are a unique breed of birds.
You don't know where Chapel Hill is, but you sure know a hell of a lot about crows.
I'm telling you, look, JB said crows are very smart. They are smart birds. That like I used to when I was young, I thought crows were scary and mean, and you hate crows, right? They're just.
I like crows my whole life. Black crows, counting crows. I like them. I like all the crows, I think.
That's a decent point as well.
Are there any crows
that you don't like?
Are there any crows? And is there a more successful band
with a bird? Well, the Eagles.
Well, I know, but we have multiple successful crows. We don't have multiple successful eagles, do we? We just have the eagles.
We just have the eagles.
It's not like we have the black eagles and counting eagles. We just have the eagles. The black eagles would be probably funny though.
I think crows definitely.
Crows are pretty good.
Crows are great.
We got black crows and counting crows.
Yeah.
Can you think of another band with? Can you think of another animal that has 2 successful bands connected to it?
God, I'm really trying to.
How have I been alive this long?
What are some famous?
I've never thought about this before.
What are some popular birds? Like
eagles.
Eagles
are probably
Cardinals, Blue
Pigeons.
Jays, robins.
Robins. We don't have any robins.
I can't think of any. I can't think of anything.
Somebody in the chat, Sheryl Crow too.
That's insane.
Black crows,
that's
counting
actually
crows,
insane.
and Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Crows are awesome.
Crows are awesome and underrated.
How do we get on to crows?
Chapel Hill and Duke. As the crow flies, it's only 8 miles, but
the crow flies straight.
That's right.
In a perfect line.
Like it's a point A to point B. But I'm not a crow. So why are you talking to me like I'm a crow? Like imagine if you applied this logic to anything else in the world. If I said, Bennett, I'm unfamiliar with this city. How long is it going to take me to get from my hotel to the airport? And you say, 30 minutes. And I go, okay, cool. Well, then I got to leave at noon, I guess, to get there on time. And then I leave at noon, and then I'm driving 30 minutes, and I look up and I go, I'm still 20 minutes away. And then I call you, and I say, Bennett, you told me the airport was 30 minutes away. And you were like, and I was like, but I've been driving for 30 minutes. It says I'm still 15 minutes away. I'm going to miss my flight. I'm not going to be able to check my bag. And you say, well, it is 30 minutes as the crow flies. Would that make any sense? Why are you telling me how long it would take a crow to get there? I need to know how long it's going to take me to get there.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%.
I'm not a crow. Stop talking to me like I'm a crow. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anyway, Alabama beat Memphis. I think that's what we were talking about.
I was trying to relate it to birds somehow, but I can't.
I don't know what happened right then.
Yeah, that's an elephant versus a tiger.
Not real sure what happened.
Yeah.
Not real sure what happened. But Alabama, shorthanded. Memphis also shorthanded. They had a $500,000 player sitting on the bench. You saw that. Tyreek Smith didn't play.
Oh, yeah. We went through that whole saga.
I mean, got a $500,000 player on the bench. What do you want us to do? I mean, Jesus Christ. You can't just go. Imagine having to go to Huntsville, play Alabama. You got a $500,000 player on your bench.
Yeah,
it's tough.
That's tough.
It's a tough situation. So I don't know what to make of it other than for the second straight game, The Tigers did not shoot it well from three. They were 1 of 14 from three last night, and I believe that comes after a 5 of 23 effort from behind the arc against North Carolina, which means through 2 games, they're shooting like 16% from three-point range. And
that's not good.
No, and the 14 attempts last night, also not good. Like, you're playing a high-possession game against Alabama. You get 88 points, but only take 14 threes. There's a lot of different ways to win in basketball, obviously. That's not the modern way to win. So, concerned with the 16% from three through 2 exhibitions? Yes. But also concerned with they're not, at least last night, didn't even really take them. And there's nothing on the roster or little on the roster that suggests, oh, well, that's just a couple outlier games. There's not, when you look at that roster, you can point out its strengths, top to bottom, but you wouldn't say one of the strengths is going to be 3-point team shooting.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be a strength of the team. Either way, here's the good news. They've played North Carolina. They've played Alabama. And yes, North Carolina was missing its best player. Alabama was missing key players. But they've been on the court with 2 teams that could reasonably win their conferences. And those are power conferences. 2 teams that could reasonably be in the Final Four, could reasonably play for the national championship. And they're not going to have to deal with anything close to that once the season gets started. At least once they get into their conference schedule. Obviously, they open in Maui against UConn. That'll be another big test. But, once the calendar flips to January, they're done playing. They won't see anybody like Mark Sears ever again.
Right.
And as flawed as the roster might be, and as unfamiliar as it might be to most Memphis fans, the truth is it's the most talented roster in the AAC by a significant margin, and that's why I still expect them to win their league and be in the NCAA tournament.
I was also glad to see PJ Haggerty having a big game last night. He had 32 points.
He's a real player. He's good.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be they're going to have to designate a guy to be that go-to guy. I feel like, in any good Penny Hardaway team has had a guy that you could go to, right? And we haven't. I think we thought that it would likely be him, maybe Tyrese Hunter, but it's good that he's kind of starting to emerge.
Between him and Tyrese Hunter, those are 2 real players.
Yeah,
those are those 2 guys. This is the phrase that gets thrown around all the time, but they could play for anybody. I don't know if they could play for anybody, but they could play for lots.
Yeah,
they could be starters on top 25 teams. So that's a good foundation. Obviously, a lot of new pieces they got to mesh together. It's a work in progress, but we'll see how it goes. Season gets started for real on Monday.
Number 2.
Well, the World Series is getting boring.
Yeah.
Dodgers won again last night, 4-2 at Yankee Stadium. Freddie Freeman homered for the 3rd straight game, so he's going to be your World Series MVP. He's now homered in 5 straight World Series games. That's not something that has happened often in the history of Major League Baseball. And so now, LA up 3-0, closeout game tonight. Aaron Boone under a tremendous amount of pressure. He's the Yankees manager. And as I'm sure you know, nobody has ever, in the history of the World Series, come back from a 3-0 deficit. The only time anybody has ever come back down 3-0 in a best-of-7 in Major League Baseball, that's that Red Sox-Yankees series that they made documentaries about.
Yeah, it ain't happening. It's got to bother you a little bit because you guys were obviously way more competitive against the Dodgers than the Yankees
Put
have
up
been.
a better fight up against the Dodgers than the Mets
and you gotta
than
think
the Yankees did. That's right.
You got to think if you get past them, you're probably getting this series.
They can't live.
I don't know, different matchups, whatever. But
yeah, but okay, I would have felt good about it. Yeah. The Mets had real I'm not going to sit here and talk about the Mets. I know.
I got you. But still,
they had real heart to that team. That team had heart and fight. And
Yankees ain't got no heart.
I don't think they got a heart.
Did you see somebody posted the clip of Stanton running the bases when he was, my God, that was the slowest base running I've ever seen in my life. It's like, dude, it's the World Series, for God's sake.
You also don't even send him there. I get so frustrated.
Right.
I get, and it's just 7-year-old baseball, so whatever. But nobody is more aggressive in 7-year-old baseball than the third base coach. I mean, buddy, third base coaches are always just sending everybody.
Right.
And it usually works. But often it's like, all right, we're down 4. And it's the bottom of the last inning.
Yeah.
Why are we trying to score this run? Like, why are we making outs at third? Why are don't make a third out at third when you're down 4? What do we do? Why are we running? Why are we running? Why are we like? Let's just keep it second and third. You send this guy, he could get out. At best, you score 1 run and we still got second. We still got to get another hit. Why are we what are we doing? The risk ain't worth the reward.
Like, dude, I think I could have scored that run.
Well, that is what I'm saying.
I think I could have scored that run.
Giancarlo can't run.
Right.
If you just stop him at third, I believe at that point in the game, Anthony Rizzo maybe represents the tying run at the plate. And he's not the Anthony Rizzo you remember.
Sure.
But like he can still pop one out of Yankee Stadium every once in a while, right? And you run yourself out of it. Like it's just
that was really weird.
And then, Aaron Judge is
he's struggling.
He's struggling. Like he's having as far as MVPs who followed up with terrible postseasons, like he's doing one of those right now. It's so weird. Like in New York today, they want to fire Aaron Boone. Like you lose all context. Like the Yankees are going to finish, assuming this goes the way it looks like it's going to go. I know we don't think of baseball this way, but they're going to finish second. Like that's not bad.
Yeah.
But once you get to this stage, people don't want to watch you get swept out of it. And also, it could have long-term effects. Like, how does this impact? Maybe not at all, but perhaps, how does it impact Juan Soto's free agency? I would assume, I don't know Juan Soto, I would assume it's harder to leave a franchise after you just hit 3 bombs in 5 games and you're the World Series MVP and you're holding the trophy. I bet that's harder to walk away from than, hey, you just got swept out of the World Series and the team crossed town in Queens, they're ready to give you $700 million. And oh, by the way, the reporting over the past couple of days, guess who else is going to get into the bidding war for Juan Soto? The Dodgers.
Oh, God.
So, like, the Dodgers could
How
sweep.
the hell can they afford that?
They could. They just spend it. They just how? Like honestly, local cable deal, regional cable package.
Yeah, gotcha.
But like, yeah, they just spend it. They say we want to be as great as we can be, and they'll either get Juan Soto or they'll drive the price up. They'll either get him or they will make the Yankees or the Mets pay more. But you wonder, like, this series going so poorly for the Yankees, if it continues to go that way, does that make it easier for him to walk away from the pinstripes? I don't know, but I hope so. Game 4 is tonight. We'll get Bennett to pick it during GP's carryout.
Number 3.
Giselle's pregnant. Giselle's
Good for
pregnant.
her.
Good for her. It's the jiu-jitsu coach.
Oh, I remember him. We talked about him quite a lot after the roast.
I had my eyes on him.
Yeah.
I suspected. You
can't judge a book by its cover, dude.
What does that even mean, Bennett?
Well, I mean, like,
you don't like his cover?
No,
you don't like his cover?
No. What I'm saying,
you don't like his cover.
Is like I look like if I just saw that guy out, like just out on the street, and he was like talking a little trash, I'd be like, man, I could just like, come on, give me a break.
No, and then he would
I whoop that dude's ass.
No,
and
but
then
you could
break me in half.
You could not whip his ass.
No,
he's a jiu-jitsu instructor.
That's what I'm saying. You can't judge a book by like. Does he look like some menacing like?
Well, you don't have to be menacing to be a jiu-jitsu instructor.
I know, but like if I like pointed that dude out and was like, hey, he's like a world-class jiu-jitsu, what do you call it, an artist or
instructor?
No, but like he's a master of jiu-jitsu. What would you call him? Like
I call him a Jedi.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, I don't think I would pick that guy out of the crowd and say, oh, that's him right there.
I would say that. I see.
Yeah.
I see. He looks like a menace to me. He looks like a menace for Tom Brady.
He's a menace for somebody.
Ooh, buddy. And then Tom Brady. Do you see Tom Brady on Instagram? He posted a picture of a sunset and quoted Stevie Nicks lyrics. He was sad on Instagram, man.
I mean,
I get it. I get it.
I get it too.
That broke my heart seeing Tom Brady so sad. Because if Tom Brady's sad, what hope do the rest of us got?
Right.
He's tall and great looking and accomplished. What are we supposed to do? We ain't none of those things.
No.
We're not tall. I don't want to speak for you.
I'm average.
We don't look like Tom Brady. Let's just keep it there.
Right.
All right?
We don't.
Tom Brady's got all the money, all the accomplishments, all the height, all the looks, abs, everything. Incredible chin.
Yeah, he's got a good chin.
Barely even have a chin. He's got an incredible chin.
Mm-hmm.
And still, there it is. Just a few days before Halloween. Guess who's sad? Watching the sunset, listening to Fleetwood Mac.
What song did he quote? Do we know?
I think it was.
I don't know.
And I see my reflection in a snow cover.
Oh, Landslide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gonna make me sing that whole goddamn song?
I was having trouble following along for a second.
Well, I don't know all the words. I just know how it goes,
yeah.
right? I didn't plan to sing Stevie Nicks today. But, man, Tom Brady.
That's a casual lyric post. I mean, come on, dude.
That's tough.
Like, go for a deeper cut.
But, like, he's going through it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep in mind, he was just on Netflix. The whole world's like the jiu-jitsu instructor's banging your wife. And then this. And then this. And then this.
Oh, man.
Even if you trick yourself into thinking he wasn't. Hard to stay committed to that trick now, huh?
Yeah.
Jiu-jitsu got it done.
Yeah, he got you. He got you, Brady. He got you.
How do you think that feels? Can you imagine you getting a divorce and then, like, your beautiful, at this point, ex-wife coming to you and saying, hey, I'm bringing another baby into this world because my jiu-jitsu instructor, I laid down with him?
I mean, Tom Brady once upon a time left his wife and brought babies into the world with another woman named Giselle.
What goes around comes around.
I'm just saying.
What goes around comes around. Is this what goes around comes around?
It could be. It could be.
This could be a case of what goes around comes around.
Yeah, yeah.
You think it'd be tough? I bet.
Although, did he have babies with Giselle, or were those both his previous wife's kids?
Bennett, you don't know where Chapel Hill is, and you don't know Tom Brady's kids.
I don't.
He had one with that with Bridget.
Yes,
and then he
actress.
Had, and then he had
Bridget
a couple.
Moynihan.
Yeah, and then he had a couple with Giselle. He had one with Bridget, and then he had two with Giselle.
Yeah, so I mean, dude, like it's
and what goes around comes around.
It really is. That's true. He should have posted those lyrics.
What goes around? Posted. It don't help your heart though in times like these. You ain't been down till you don't know what it's like to be down till you're posting Stevie Nicks lyrics on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
We've all been there.
This man's got a football game to call his weekend. But last night he was posting Stevie Nicks lyrics on Instagram.
The NFL.
And I'm not even making fun of him. I mean, I guess I am, but I would be sad too if I were Tom Brady.
What game is he calling this weekend? We got to find what's the premier game this weekend?
Oh, Bennett.
Because I just feel like that, like, you're going to be in a situation where, like, whoever is he CBS? Is Brady CBS?
Bennett, do you know anything?
No, that's Romo. What's Brady?
Fox. You don't know where Chapel is. You don't know Fox. You don't know how many kids Tom Brady's got. What do you know? Tell me something you know. Anything.
It's been a rough
week.
Just
tell me anything you know.
Dude, I educated you about crows.
You did know a lot about crows.
Yeah, I educated you about crows.
I don't know if it was all true, but you did say some stuff about crows.
They could do something really funny this weekend.
What?
And play Landslide bumper music going into break. They got access to all those songs.
I know they do.
Yeah.
It's tough. Man, it's tough.
That'd be funny.
My heart broke for Tom Brady.
Sure.
Like, for real. I bet you he was really sad.
I guess so.
I bet when you sit around being Tom Brady your whole life, you don't expect to just be sad and a couple days before Halloween. But then, TMZ is reporting that the jiu-jitsu instructor has impregnated your ex-wife. Reportedly, Giselle told Tom and her children before TMZ got a hold of it. I think that's the right thing to do. Doesn't that seem appropriate?
Yeah, I think so.
If you got another woman pregnant, Bennett, would you before TMZ got a hold of it, you'd have to tell her. You'd have to sit down with your wife.
Oh,
you?
yeah.
You'd have to say that.
For sure.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it.
That is.
Anyway, thoughts with Tom Brady through this difficult time.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sure, I don't want to speak for Tom Brady, but I'm sure deep down, he's just happy that the mother of his children has found happiness. I bet you deep down, probably real deep down, maybe too deep to even see or feel. Mm-hmm. But I bet deep down he's happy that the mother of his children has found happiness, and now perhaps he'll do the same. Maybe he should take up jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, maybe so.
Number 4.
The Connecticut Sun fired their coach.
Okay, what is going on in the W?
I don't know.
I need to know what is going on in the W.
So this woman is named Stephanie White, and she had been there 2 years. She was 62 62-32 in 2 years. 30 games above 500.
And best I could tell, she's the only coach that can beat Caitlin Clark.
Beat Caitlin Clark
like every game.
Every game.
every loss the Fever took came to her team.
Caitlin Clark lost more times to the Connecticut Sun this year than she lost in her entire career at Iowa.
Yes.
I don't know if that's true. Don't fact check that, but
it's close.
It feels true. Okay? It feels true. And even she got whacked. 7 different WNBA coaches have been fired since the end of the season. There's only 12 franchises. What is going on?
I don't know. Is there something going on? I
don't know.
Like, I'm serious. Like, this seems really weird. Again, I know there's only 12 franchises. I get it. So, like,
well, this comes one day after Indiana fired Christy said. So, the Fever and the Sun, they played 20 times this year. Okay? They played 20 times this year. And every time, Stephanie and Christy were, like, just sitting around. And you know what they should have said to each other? Turns out it doesn't matter who wins these games. We're both out of here.
Is that necessary? Like, do you even have to post anything if you fire a coach? Do teams typically do that?
I don't know.
Like, I mean,
62-32.
That's a good record.
I mean, I admit up front, I don't know nothing about it, but she was the 2003 WNBA Coach of the Year.
2003?
23, last year.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, maybe she has been there too long.
No, she's been there 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, dude.
Everybody's firing everybody. Man, that's a tough job, man.
Something's going on in the W.
Something's going on in the WNBA. There's not much coaching stability in that league. We're going to have to look into that.
I don't like that.
We're going to have to look into that a little bit and see what's going on. But job security ain't great in that league. 7 of the 12 been whacked since their seasons ended.
They must be about to hire Gino. He's right there.
He is right there. That's true. Yep. But I doubt it. I doubt that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
But they're going to have to hire somebody because they just fired Stephanie, even though she won a lot more than she lost.
Number 5.
Guess who was the star of Monday Night Football last night?
How about that?
Yeah. Calvin Austin.
Can't catch Cal.
University of Memphis alum. Scored 2 touchdowns last night to get Bennett and the Steelers a victory.
Yes.
In Monday Night Football. They won and they covered. He was awesome. Do we have him? Do we have the touchdown?
Yeah, I think the first one was the special teams touchdown, on the punt return.
In
this
football,
was sick.
That's what they call a punt right there.
Yep.
And then he's going to catch it and then watch him. Sometimes when you're faster than everybody else and you get good blocking, this is the type of thing that can happen in football.
Boom, break a tackle, let's go.
Now we're just running away from everybody. You ain't catching me. That's a touchdown, Bennett. Look at that.
I love it.
They said he was too little, Bennett.
They did say that.
They said he couldn't catch.
Steelers stuck with him though. All right, let's see the touchdown pass.
That's a former University of Memphis assistant coach Mike Tomlin believing in a former University of Memphis standout.
How about that?
Calvin Austin, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody respecting the M.
I've always said he just needed a quarterback.
He's always just been a Russell Wilson away from breaking out.
I mean, it actually is true. Like in his short NFL career, he hasn't really ever played with a good quarterback. So
he got the post-game interview with Scott Van Pelt last night, which was awesome. And I loved it because he seemed to genuinely appreciate the moment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you see, if it's a post-game interview and they bring out Aaron Judge to talk to Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter. It's like,
I'm used to this.
Yeah, this is what I do, right? This is my life. I'm Aaron Judge. If you'd have brought out Russell Wilson, it would have just been like, he's won Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, good to see you. Ask me some questions. I'll answer them. I'll wave to the crowd. Calvin Austin, I don't know if you watched it, but he was like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest moment of his career.
He verbalized. You could hear him on a mic as he's walking up to the set to sit with Scott Van Pelt. He's like, I don't have the quote exactly, but it was something like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And then he sits down and he's like, Scott's sort of setting it up. Like, we all dream of Monday night. We dream of Monday Night Football. And like, just like the Freddie Freeman home run last Friday night, when you are a kid and you are playing wiffle ball, tennis ball, any kind of ball with your friends, and you're setting a scene, it's like, all right, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs, bases loaded. We're in the World Series, Game 7, and then you have that moment. Well, for a young kid playing football out in the yard, I imagine it's like you think probably Super Bowl first, but Monday Night Football, you get there eventually. And I know Monday Night Football is not what it used to be, because what it used to be was like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And now Sunday Night Football is bigger than Monday Night Football.
Right.
But Monday Night Football still matters. Like, I watched Calvin Austin in real time score 2 touchdowns last night. If that would have been a noon kickoff on a Sunday, I probably would not have seen it. But I saw it last night, and everybody saw it last night because it was Monday Night Football. And Scott Van Pelt's talking to Calvin Austin about that. And he's like, yeah, man, like, you know, obviously scoring touchdowns on Monday Night Football. But, like, just being here, just talking to Scott Van Pelt. He's like, I watch your show, man.
Yeah.
Now I'm on your show. It was just a cool moment of somebody really – I think sometimes in all walks of life, I'm guilty of this, you don't appreciate, like, these little moments that you have. Like, soak this in, look around, remember what this feels like. He seemed to be wise enough to understand that that was a moment for him last night.
Yeah.
And I just, smiling ear from ear watching him, like, really just first do what he did on the field, but beyond that, just get to experience that moment.
Yeah.
And the Steelers are good.
The Steelers are good. Yeah, that's what's fun about it too. I mean, this probably ain't gonna be the last time we hear from Calvin Austin this season. They're playing really well, and it's just like, again, going back to like the Memphis thing. It's just so cool, like seeing some of these guys. Like, I know the Titans are a disaster, but I have a blast every week when Tony Pollard breaks off a huge run. Like, he's the only exciting thing about the Titans this year, and it's just fun seeing these guys. I mean, that's what comes with having a successful college football program over the years. Is some of these guys get to go play in the league, and it's been awesome over this past, let's say decade, getting to see Memphis guys play in the NFL and actually be contributors, because we just never saw that before, really. It was like very rare, besides D'Angelo.
Well, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
If you just asked the average Memphis sports fan, like, what is the biggest thing in Memphis in terms of sport, they would always say basketball, or at least usually say basketball. Like, oh, yeah, man, we're the basketball capital of the South. And then you look in the NBA and you go, where are all our guys? All right. Major League Baseball, we got them.
Oh, yeah, right.
NFL, we got them. NBA, not as much. And
not lately. Yeah.
Not lately. And I mean, I think the last NBA All-Star who grew up in Memphis was actually Penny Hardaway.
That's probably true.
Yeah, but we've had Major League Baseball All-Stars way more recently than that.
Yeah.
Multiple times. And not just the Memphis area, but specifically the University of Memphis has done a nice job of putting skill players in the NFL.
Yeah.
They're all over the place,
They are. Yeah.
It's not Ohio State, it's not Alabama, but for a group of 5 standard, they've done an incredible job.
Yeah. And like, speaking of like the Steelers, man, that division is interesting right now, because the Ravens, like, I think everyone thought that the Ravens were gonna waltz to the AFC Championship game. Like, they're just that good. They've lost to 2 crappy teams in the Browns and the Raiders already this season, so they're not world beaters. That's going to be an interesting division for sure.
I don't have a favorite NFL team.
Still got the Bengals there too.
I don't have a favorite NFL team, as you know.
Yeah.
I do like to see the Steelers do well, only because I really like Mike Tomlin, and I like
Mike Tomlin.
I like
too.
the approach that organization has taken. It's very similar to the approach the Miami Heat have taken. Think about this, because I don't think most owners in professional sports, I'm not even sure most fans think, front offices, I don't think they think about this in this way. You wouldn't. There are good owners and bad owners in professional sports. That goes without saying. But if you have a good owner, and this is a good owner, there's a track record of, like, this is a good owner. If you have a bad season, or he or she makes a bad decision and it dips for a year or 2, you don't just say, well, we got to get a new owner. You just sort of ride it out and you hope it'll be better in a minute, right? But in coaching, even if you have a good coach, if it goes bad at a certain point, they all pull the trigger on it, or at least most of them do.
Yeah.
There's very little riding it out in professional sports, in college sports as well. I mean, Mike Norvell might get fired a year after being the national coach of the year. I hope they don't, because I think it would be silly. We talked about that earlier in the week. But they might really say, we just can't ride this out. We have to fire you because this is what you did in this particular season. But you know who doesn't operate that way? The Heat in the NBA and the Steelers in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
They've been smart enough to identify a person who is going to be the standard for our franchise. If we lose, we are never going to believe it's because of the coach. It might be because of the personnel. It could be because of injuries. It might be because our coach isn't reaching a certain player. But broadly speaking, we're never going to assume that the thing we need to change is the coach, because this guy is great. And there's going to be some ups and downs. But we're going to enter every season with a guy we know is one of the best coaches in the world. In basketball, that would be Eric Spoelstra. And in football, it would be Mike Tomlin. And wouldn't you say both of those franchises are better off having just highs, lows, all the in-betweens, just you're our coach. We're not changing you. We'll change other things, but we're not changing you. Wouldn't you say both of those franchises have benefited from that approach?
Yeah.
So why don't more people do it?
It's a fair point.
Why don't more people do it?
It's a fair point.
Find the guy you believe in and just this is our coach. We know this guy's good.
Mm-hmm.
A coach cannot control the outcome of games. He can only put he or she people in position to be successful. And if you've got somebody you believe does that more often than not, more often than most, why would you get rid of them just because the outcomes of the games in one season or two didn't go the way you had hoped? I don't want to say it's never made sense to me, but when you start thinking through it from that perspective, it's like, why is everybody so trigger happy so often? The Steelers, and there's been Steelers fans who have thought the Tomlin thing plateaued out and whatever, but now look at them. They're 6-2. They've rejuvenated Russell Wilson's career, and so I like seeing the Steelers do well because I appreciate their approach.
Yeah, I do too.
I don't have a favorite team. I don't have a Jerome Bettis jersey or anything like that. But the Steelers winning never bothers me because I like the approach of the franchise and I appreciate Mike Tomlin. Congratulations to Calvin Austin.
Yep.
That was an awesome Monday night. Be back with GP's Carryout.
Dinosaur draft.
Give me Littlefoot.
Littlefoot's a great pick
It
in your
is.
alternate
Damn
reality.
right.
in your fake dinosaur draft because
I'm
you don't
sorry.
believe in real
I'm sorry.
dinosaurs. Give me a velociraptor. It's so cute and so scary.
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
a real velociraptor.
That's not a chicken.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Yellow lace is really bright yellow primary color. You got black on the trim and on the edges.
I gotta get 'em.
And you've got some red there as well. Look at that right there, Mike. Look at that right there.
Man, look at that G. Look at that G, boy. That G is moving strong right there, too, man.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
At Southland Casino Hotel, it's time to work hard, play hard with our $500,000 giveaway. Earn entries October through November 9th and take home free play and amazing prizes on select Saturdays, including a big rig. Stay connected on social media for weekly drawing clues. Join us November 9th for the grand finale drawing where you could drive off in a four-wheeler, side-by-side, or big rig. Work hard and play harder at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
this music, Bennett?
It's from Jessica's show, and I thought like CJ must have put that on there like when he was doing something in here, and I thought that it was a different song. It's my bad.
I didn't know if I
didn't mean
needed
to play y'all's bumper music.
I didn't know if I needed a X pill or what.
No, it's JB show bumper music.
All right,
my fault.
Okay, it's all good.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up with GP's carry.
Okay, let's do that.
It's time for GP's Carryout. One final segment filled with stuff to take with you. It's not everything you need to know, but it's most of it. What did we learn today?
A whole bunch of stuff, but I think the most important thing is like we need to stop talking to humans like they're crows.
Yeah.
Don't you think so?
Yeah.
If I ask you a question, don't answer as if I'm a crow. Talk to me like I'm a human.
Like you're human, yeah.
Talk to me like I'm a human. This came up. I really don't know how it came up. How did that come up?
I don't.
I'm not sure how that came up.
I don't know anything.
But you asked me something about Duke. We were talking about Memphis and Alabama, and that led to Memphis and North Carolina. Right. And then you thought North Carolina was in Durham.
Yes.
And what did you think Chapel Hill was?
Like I honestly,
like a neighborhood?
No, I thought it was like maybe a building that they played in because it's called Chapel.
You thought it was a pop star, Chapel Roan.
Yeah,
you thought Chapel Hill was a building as opposed to the location of the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Yeah, like Duke plays at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and so I was like, oh, well, Chapel Hill, that's where North Carolina plays. No.
North Carolina plays in the Dean Smith Center, also known as the Dean Dome.
Okay.
You could refer to it as the Dean Smith Center or the Dean Dome, and it is located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. They got a mayor and everything, Bennett.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them.
You've been struggling a little bit with your...
I know. Well, dude,
somebody asked in the chat if you've had a stroke. Have you stroked out?
I haven't yet, but I've been a little under the weather, and I'm just getting back into season form. We got a new sound system at FedEx Forum. I don't know if you noticed. You haven't been to a Grizzlies game yet this season. Well, we got a new sound system, all right? And JB can attest. We're kind of positioned like in the direct line of the sound system, okay? And the bass is powerful.
Okay.
Like it sounds great. The new sound system is incredible.
I'm looking forward to the part where you explain to me how the sound system makes you not know what Chapel Hill is.
I feel like it's like shaking my brain.
You might be concussed. You think you're getting concussed at a Grizzlies game?
I feel like the new sound system is giving me a concussion.
So you are equating doing radio at Grizzlies games to playing quarterback for the Dolphins.
Dude, I looked at
similar experiences.
I looked at Jessica last night. I go, this hurts.
You might have reached the age where you need earplugs.
It's not that. It's not the ear. It's like I can feel it vibrating throughout my. It's rattling.
Your body's vibrating.
Yes, my body's vibrating.
Your body's vibrating.
Yeah.
And that's what made you think Chapel Hill was a building.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've also been under the weather a little bit. Every October, dude, it just never fails for like a good month straight. I just got the sniffles and
And that's what makes you forget stuff that other people know.
Well, yeah, when you got like sinus stuff going on, your brain gets a little foggy.
I feel like I could get as sick as you want me to.
And your brain wouldn't get foggy?
I would be able to tell you what Chapel Hill is.
Like you can tell I sound a little nasally these days. Yeah.
I'm having trouble understanding how being a little stopped up makes you not understand that Chapel Hill's a city. That's the part I'm struggling with.
It's the sinuses mixed with the new sound system punching me in the face. Like I'm adjusting is all. I'm adjusting is all.
I shouldn't.
It's a new season. We're all adjusting. Grizzlies defense is adjusting. We're all just adjusting in this early NBA season.
So Bennett was very confused on Durham and North Carolina. I pointed out that if you ask somebody, like if you're watching a Duke Carolina game, they'll come on TV and they'll be like, and it's separated by 8 miles. And at one point, or 7 miles, whatever it is. And at one point, I actually did the work. I put the work in. I'm not just going to take their word for it. I think that's a real problem in America these days.
Yeah.
People just taking everybody's word for it. Nobody gets fact checked.
Right.
Just go on TV and say whatever you want to. Well, I'm not going to let Dan Schulman get away with that.
No.
So I went and I did the work. And I said, Duke and Carolina are not separated by 8 miles. It's 11. Why does everybody say, and you know what they say? By the crows, the way the crow flies. There's a term for it.
The crow flies straight in a perfect line.
Yeah, it's as the crow flies. That's the phrase.
Yeah.
It's 8 miles as the crow flies. Well, I'm not a crow. Stop talking to me like I'm a crow. Again, if I said, Bennett, how many miles to the airport? I'm unfamiliar. You said 15 miles. I said, okay, cool. I know what time to leave now. Thank you, Bennett. And then I start driving. I drive 15 miles, and I'm still 15 more miles away from the airport. I would call you, and I'd say, Bennett, you told me the airport was 15 miles. And you say, well, it is, as the crow flies.
Yeah.
Not helpful to me. I'm not a crow. I'm a human. How many miles is it for humans to drive on roads to get from point A to point B? That's what I need to know. Don't talk to me like I'm a crow.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it.
Okay.
I think that's what we learned.
Good.
I think that's what we learned.
What's today's biggest game?
Game 4 of the World Series.
Boring.
Man.
I'm bored, dude. I thought this was going to be the greatest World Series ever.
I was hoping for it. I just like watching baseball.
I do too.
And now, after tonight, I might not get to watch baseball no more. Might be over after tonight.
Yeah.
The good thing about baseball is it like if you took the calendar, all the days, and put it like this, baseball season happens just outside of college basketball season.
Yeah, right.
Baseball season ends, college basketball starts. College basketball ends, baseball starts. So I distract myself with work through the off season. So it never feels like it's too far away. This could be the last night of baseball, though.
Yeah.
It's the Dodgers and the Yankees at Yankee Stadium. Game 4, closeout game for the Dodgers. They have not announced a starter yet. The Yankees are going with Luis Gil. He was 15-7 this year, 3.50 ERA. As of this moment, the Yankees are listed as minus 150 on the money line. Your Dodgers are plus 125. How are you going to act?
Yankees going to get one, right?
Bennett, I don't know.
Yankees going to get one.
I thought so.
They won 94 games, for God's sakes.
You would think that would lead to you at least getting one in the World Series, but I don't know. It's just tough going through that Dodger lineup, man.
I know. It's like one of those things, like, they just want to, I mean, you know you're done. Do you just want to get it over with?
I mean, that kind of stuff does come into play.
Right, like if the Dodgers take a 3-0 lead in the first, I mean.
Oh, yeah, like, okay, we're not winning the series anyway. Do we really want to fly all the way back across the country to California?
Yeah.
To get our heads handed to us in L.A.? Let's just get this done tonight and sleep in our own beds. There is some of that.
Since I don't know who the Dodgers are putting out there tonight.
Of course, Game 5 would also be in New York.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I think I'll just go Yankees just because I think they'll win one.
Just because we want to watch baseball again tomorrow night.
Yeah.
We're going to go Yankees, not with our brain, but with our heart.
With our heart.
Because we want to watch. We don't want October 29th to be the last day of the baseball season.
No, we don't.
We want to watch another baseball game tomorrow. So we're going to go Yankees. Minus the 150. I think it's a good bet, Bennett. I don't know.
What are we watching on TV?
Okay. I mentioned earlier that no team has ever come back down 3-0 in a World Series. And the only team that has ever come back down 3-0 in a 7-game series in baseball, 2004 Boston Red Sox. They were down 3-0 to the Yankees in the American League playoffs. Came back and won the series in 7. And Netflix has dropped a documentary on it. Have you seen that yet? It dropped, I think, late last week. But it's on the homepage right now. The Comeback, the 2004 Boston Red Sox. It is number 7 in TV shows today at Netflix.
Okay.
So you can stream it. It's 3 episodes. 3 episodes. First one's 67 minutes. Then the next one's 57 minutes. Then the next one's 64 minutes. So roughly an hour. 3 episodes. The Comeback, 2004 Boston Red Sox.
Man.
It's on Netflix right now.
What's the best thing we've read?
Pete Prisco's got his NFL Power Rankings. updated over at CBSSports.com right now. Who do you think's number one?
I'm going to say...
2 questions. Who do you think's number one, and who do you actually think is the best team in the NFL right now? If you put them on a neutral field against anybody, you'd take them.
I'm going to say number one, he's probably got the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're 7-0. They're the only undefeated team.
Yeah. But I'm going to say, like, if you're asking me who the best team is, I think it's them. I do. And the reason being is because Patrick Mahomes has not been good, and I expect that to turn around. They just went and got him DeAndre Hopkins. Like, the fact that they're 7-0 and he has not played good football should be extremely concerning for the rest of the league.
Who do you think's number 2?
Probably the Ravens still, even though they lost.
The Ravens have slipped
they dropped
all the way down to number 7.
Maybe the Philadelphia Eagles?
Do you know the Eagles are actually down at number 10? Do you know any franchises that scored 52 points on Sunday?
Oh, the Detroit Lions. Yeah, the
Lions
Detroit
are number
Lions,
2.
yeah.
Bills are 3. Packers 4. And the Texans with a 6-2 record are at number 5.
I think they're fraudulent.
You don't believe in the Texans?
No.
You do believe in the Commanders?
Yes, I do. I definitely believe in them.
It wasn't too long ago. Those were like joke franchises, right?
You ready? You ready for the real hot take?
Yeah.
I think Jaden Daniels is better than C.J. Stroud.
Is that a hot take? I think you could get people to agree with you on that.
I think Jaden Daniels is going to have a better NFL career than C.J. Stroud.
I think you could get people to agree with you on that. I think people are high on both of them. People like both of them. They're both terrific. But I don't think
Jaden Daniels just got that it factor, man.
I don't think too many people would call you stupid for having that opinion.
Yeah, the fact that team is good is kind of crazy. Yeah. And it's like a lot of it's because of him.
They would be...
And he's a rookie.
They would be 5-3 if not for a Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
There is that. Where do you think
he
the Titans
still got
are?
it there. I think they are going to be sitting right at, second to last in front of the Panthers. Yeah.
That's exactly right. 31st in front of the Panthers, down 3 spots to number 31. You can check out Pete Prisco's Power Rankings. He's got them right now, CBSSports.com.
What's on tap for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yes.
Got another home game. Hopefully that one goes better.
The Brooklyn Nets will be in town. Our old friend Zaire Williams will be in town.
Ooh.
Revenge game.
Ooh.
Revenge game. Don't make me bust out the Zaire commercial.
Ooh.
We'll play it tomorrow, every single break.
Woo. Ooh.
Mm-hmm. He's back. Buckle up.
Buckle up. It's the Zaire Williams Revenge Tour tomorrow night inside FedEx Forum. Have we seen? How's it going so far? Have you even looked?
How's the Brooklyn Nets doing? They actually...
I mean specifically Zaire.
Oh, I don't know. They've actually won a couple games,
He's averaging 17 minutes per game. He is 7.7 points, 4.7 rebounds.
They beat the Bucks.
Let's see if we can find us a...
Didn't they beat the Bucks?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Let's see. Zaire. Okay. He's averaging 17 minutes per game. Let's see what he's shoot. Uh-oh. He's shooting 57% from 3.
He just needed a change of scenery.
It could just be a situation where he needed a change of scenery.
He just needed that weight lifted off his shoulders.
He's a
lot of pressure here.
Zaire, I know it's early, but what we have coming in here tomorrow is a former lottery pick who's shooting 57% from 3. Be careful.
Yes. Don't mess around.
Don't mess around.
Take the third quarter seriously.
Yeah, hey, play the third quarter.
Yeah.
My God. Don't make us do that.
No, I don't want to do that again.
Can't do that again.
All.
Mike Wallace will be with me.
Yes.
Can't wait. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm going to enjoy mine. We're going to meet back here tomorrow at 10. Till then, be careful, be kind, be good. Rep your hood.